So this is a disclaimer before we start the video. This is not fitness advice. I'm just going to tell you guys how I made my first legit £10. I shouldn't have said that. I should have just said first £10, but you know what I'm trying to say. How I made my first 10 quid. And it's quite a story. And the reason why I'm bringing it up today is recently, very recently, about a week and a half ago, I was in Marmaris, Turkey. And I was on the pool side, I had my shades on. I normally wear these Oakley shades. Have I got them here? I've got them somewhere. Anyway, they're like the mirrored shades. So no one can see my eyes. It's one of those kind of shades. Not just the shades where they just provide a little bit of protection. These are full on like mirror. Anyway, this guy walks past me. And I'm thinking, I recognize this guy from somewhere. Bear in mind, I'm in Marmaris, I'm in Turkey, away, 2,000 miles away from home. I'm thinking, I swear I know this guy, I don't know where from. But something isn't clicking. There's something about this guy that I know, I don't know where. Anyway, he walks past me and he goes and sits down. I don't know whether he recognized me or not. He did. Doesn't matter. The moment's gone now. We didn't speak. But he went and sits down and he starts talking and I thought, he's from Sheffield. We have a bit of a strong accent. I don't know if my Sheffield accent is very strong or not, but this guy's was. And I thought, yes, it's definitely this guy. Anyway, the reason why I'm telling you that story is because the way I know this dude is through one of my first ever jobs, in a sense, if you can call it a job, or my first way of earning money was an ID parade. Now, for those people who don't know what that is, let me explain. So an ID parade is when you are a criminal or you are being charged with something and they're uncertain it's you, or your solicitor can say, can we have an ID parade because so-and-so said the description of the guy who stole this X thing was this guy. Then they'll line up 8 to 10 individuals who look very similar to this guy. And someone will come and say, yeah, it was number 1, it was number 2, it was number 3, whoever they say it was. And then that's got to kind of match or at least have some sort of high regard in court. Bear in mind, this is like 23, 24 years ago. Very long time ago. Anyway, so the reason I just wanted to share this with you because I just remembered when I saw this guy, this was the first time I earned some money. And we were at school and what happened was there was a few Asian lads at the school, very similar build, similar, not structure, but like we were the same skin color. We had black hair and, beard on the face. So what happened was one or two of the friends used to get this letter through the post from the police. I don't know how they signed up to it. I can't remember. I just got put through to it by a friend who went, come down with me one day, sign up for the ID parade, and then they'll call you up. So like, cool. So one day we were in secondary school. I'm gonna guess I was in like year 9 or 10. So we were just like at the end of secondary school. At the age, for those people who aren't in the UK, is around about 13, 14, 15. You kind of leave secondary school when you're 15, coming on to 16. So I went down to the police station. They take a picture of your face, front, side, whatever, your height, build, they write it all down. They make an account of it. Then if anybody ever comes in who's committed a crime or who is accused of committing a crime, under that description, they will call you up. And obviously there's no mobile phones those days. So I used to get a letter through the post. So I would say this used to happen at least once a week or sometimes twice a week. Let's just say 6 times a month. Guaranteed 6 times a month we'd get called in. So what had happened is you wake up in the morning, you get a letter through the post, and it was like, right, come to the police station at 3:15 on this day. And we was like, yes. This meant 2 things. Number 1, we got paid. It was £10. Number 2, we got to leave school about 20 minutes early because we had to get to the police station. So this was like, we were on government business, bro. So when you went to the head teacher, or in our case, it was the deputy head at the time, we had to go there. And if there was like 6 or 7 of us that particular day, we came in with a letter and we're like, did you get the letter? Did you get the letter on the bus? We're like, yeah, we got the letter. Right, perfect. So I have a group of lads, we all used to go together. And we go to the deputy head and he was like, yeah, no, we'll sign off for it. And then you had that sheet. And then when you went into your last lesson, you gave that to the teacher and they were like, okay, you get to leave a little bit early. So you catch the bus and you got enough time to get down to the police station because we're doing God's work. Actually, no, it wasn't God's work, to be honest with you. Listen, to be honest, no, do you know what? It's not a bad thing to do as a teenager. It is what it is. But let's be honest, the police get it wrong a lot of times. There's a lot of innocent people in prison, but I'm not even going to go down that road. That's a story for another time. Anyway, this particular instance, we've got the letter, we get down, we're thinking, yes, let's go. Jumped on the bus, and the bus used to be empty at the time, because normally when you catch the bus at the end of school, it's packed, and there's all sort of craziness going on. It's like, imagine a bunch of chimpanzees in a cage. Really close cage, small, tiny cage. They're going to run havoc. And that is what the bus journey was like for us going home every single day. If you remember those first mainline, in fact, it wasn't even called first at the time. It was called mainline, double-decker, massive yellow buses with leather seats. When you used to pile on those buses at the end of school, it was havoc, absolute mayhem. That built character. If you caught one of those buses on the way home, that built you character, mate. You got bullied on there. You got beaten up on there. You got called all sorts. You got spat on. You got, like, you know, when those paper pellets flicked on. Your ears clipped from the back. Your hair pulled. All sorts of shit went on that bus, you know. But times are different now. Anyway, back to the story. So we got to the police station one day. Now, when you used to go for the ID parade, you used to go through the side door. So you get to the police station, and there was this guy. We don't even know his name. We used to call him the postman because he used to count the... I don't know, why did we call him the postman? You know, I can't even remember why we called him the postman. I think he used to give us the letters at the end with the... No, do you know what? He never actually even used to do that. How did he do it now? But anyway, forget this. Forget why we call him the postman. We call him the postman. That was just there. I was trying to think if he'd give us envelopes, but he didn't. And I'll tell you exactly how he paid us at the end. So he did that. We call him the postman. He used to go into the back of the police station. When you go into the back of the police station, it's like a pantomime. Literally, like, back in those days, boxes everywhere, hats, coats, hoodies, wigs, craziness. And this particular instance, this dude, this chap I'm on about, had a little bit of a goatee. I didn't have a goatee at the time, so they stuck it on. They used to put glue on there, and they used to stick the goatee on. It was fucking hilarious. I would love to see those ID parade pictures. I don't know if they ever take pictures. I don't know if they're documented anywhere. I don't know if they were recorded. I don't know where they are, if they're in a file anywhere. I would love to see those ID parades. I would love to see them, because that would be a sight to see right now. Because they used to chuck us these massive oversized hoodies on, put us a cap on, give us some facial hair. Once had to wear a wig that was a ponytail. It was crazy. Anyway, this instance, I got a goatee, and you all go inside, you line up. And I think, do you hold something, or was there a number behind us? I can't really remember. I think, if I remember, I do remember holding something. Anyway, we're in the ID parade on this instance, and the chap walks in, and the solicitor gets to decide where he has to place this guy who is under investigation, or, you know, whatever. I'm not going to call him the criminal because he's under investigation at the time. The trial is still going on, or the trial hasn't taken place yet. They're still gathering evidence. They're still building evidence to see if this is the guy, if they've got the right guy. So the solicitor came, and he was like, standing here next to me. And I remember him stood next to me. He was stood right there. And anyway, we stood up. And the lady who came in, I remember it being a lady. I don't know, why do I remember it being a lady? Yeah, because we went in the back. He obviously didn't. The guy who's the criminal, he doesn't get to see who's behind, but we obviously do. And she picked him out. She picked out the right guy. But they read the charge first. They read the charge. And the charge was... I'm not going to say what item it was for, because, you know, I'm dogging someone out there, and he might even be watching this, and it's not fair. But it was £8,000 worth of electronic goods. This is going back 23 years. Back in those days, for those people thinking, how the hell did he get away with £8,000 worth of electronic goods? How did he walk out with it? No. Back in those days, you used to have a checkbook. And when you wrote a check out for £8,000 and you gave it to pay, they just used to take you at face value. That was it. There was no, we're going to wait for the bank to reply. The bank used to reply 24 hours after. It wasn't instant back in those days like it is today. Today, you can go for credit. You can buy a £250,000 Lamborghini on the day. You go there, they check your credit. Yeah, should we lend him the money? Yeah, cool. Don't worry, it's done. Finished. No problem, bro, and it's done. Back in those days, you could go in there, purchase something. I don't know what the amount was, but this particular amount was 8K. I don't know what was the max you could purchase without them actually getting the funds from the bank, without the check bouncing, literally on goodwill. And another little story, just a little sidetrack here. when we were kids, there was some bad guys that we grew up with. And I remember this one instance. We used to go to the petrol station, and one of the lads who was a little bit older than us, get whatever you want, lads, get whatever you want. And when someone says that at that age, when you're like 10, 12 kind of age, you're grabbing crisps, chocolates, drinks, magazines, all sorts. And we went and piled it on in the petrol station. And this guy used to have one of those stolen credit cards. Give it to the guy. And all he had to do to steal these goods was sign exactly the same as it did on the back of the credit card. Because the guy behind, the cashier, all he used to do was look at the credit card and look at the signature. If that matched, you were good to go. Can you believe it? That is insane. Imagine if that was the case now. So obviously loads of people must have committed fraud back in those days, and hence why this chip and pin and all that kind of stuff came in. But literally all they used to do was pick it up, look at it, and if they matched, you were good to go, bro. And then they wouldn't know until the day after if your check or your card has bounced or anything. It's a very, very strange world. I don't know why that was. But anyway, that was the way it was. So this instance, this guy's got called out. And we're stood in the line, and after we used to stand and we used to take all the kit off and get the hoodies off and the caps off, whatever we wore, put them back in the box for the cleanup crew used to come. This guy, Mr. Postman, used to walk down the line of 8 or 10 lads. Majority of them was our mates. And he used to come down and he used to have a bundle of £10 notes back in the days. And if you remember, if you're from the UK, they're not the small notes that we have nowadays. They were quite big notes, or bigger than they are now anyway. And he used to take them out one at a time, walk past you. And I remember him doing this, like that, just to make sure that 2 notes weren't stuck together. He used to take them out like this. And we used to be lining up, collecting that crisp £10 note. And you know, that felt good. That felt good back in those days when you're like 14, 15-year-old and you're collecting £10 of somebody and you get to finish school a little bit early. Trust me, that £10 never made it home, because by the time we spent it in town, we used to get magazines, chocolates, go to the cinema, get some nachos, get some popcorn. That £10 was spent pretty quick, but it was one of those things. I just remembered it. This guy walked past me, and you know, that memory had kind of like not vanished, but I'd not thought about it for a very long time. But when I seen this chap, I was like, holy shit, this is the guy. This is the guy, the ID Parade dude. And if to be honest with you, if I'd seen him again, I would have mentioned it to him, not to dog him out, but he was with his family as well. So I was hardly going to walk up to his family and say, bro, you remember 25 years ago, you was in an ID Parade for £8,000 worth of goods? Nah, I didn't want to say that to him. But it 100% was that guy. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that story with you. There's no meaning behind it. I just thought I'd share how I hustled to make my first £10 by South Yorkshire Police. Crazy story. Anyway, I know this video is giving you zero value, but if it's brought you some entertainment, please comment down below, like and subscribe.